Hello everybody and welcome back to Jake Saucy Stuff, onto part 79, it might as well be, of the Mini Talon 2, Mini Talon Pro, whatever the hell we're going to call this, Talon Pro, God knows. And as you can see, we have a new camera. This is a Runcam Hybrid 3, I think? Possibly? What's it called? A Runcam Split 3, sorry, it's a Hybrid 3. And this is how I have it wired up. So we have the camera on here, currently upside down. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we can change that. But the reason I have it upside down is so the camera is lower down. You can see the text is upside down. Have the lead coming out lower down means there's less force in it, and we can do this without it being a problem. And this isn't a 180-degree camera, so it's not going to go that far anyway. But there we are. It came with this plastic mount to adapt it from this size of camera to slightly bigger ones. It was still kind of too small, like by a mil or two on either side, so I just clamped it down. It does not come with this stand. I had to order the stand separate. If you didn't see the previous video, they're like £4 from Flying Tech. Bought them both from Flying Tech. The board is this way up because it has the, I can't remember what it's called, but it's to stop water getting in on this side. On the other side it doesn't. And I have it this way round, because you might see a bit of the cables going over there to go down the back there. The reason why is because I didn't want that up against here because then it gets tangled in the gears. I didn't want this against the servo because of the buttons, needing to get the buttons. I didn't want that near the servo again so it didn't get tied and ripped off. On that side is actually the slot for the SD card. This is the SD card I'm going to be using. A bit overkill, but it was like £12 on Amazon on sale, so I thought, why not? 64 gig is the biggest you can have in this. So I actually ordered it for the CAD-X, which would be overkill in that, but I mean it's going to be even more overkill in here. So what I don't understand really is there seems to be like 3 classes now, classes of speed. So you have the class system, which this is class 10, and then you have the V system, which goes up to 30. That other class system, which is like a U with a 3 in it. Then you have A2 for something else. So it's all really confusing. Just go off of those numbers there, 170 and 90. But it does have a little picture of a quad on it, or a drone. Bastard drones. But there we are. This should be more than plenty for this camera. But yes, and we have the cable here, which I don't really like it being that tight. You know, there, coming out this way and going into the front here. We're going to cut this connector off, put a Futaba lead on, and run it up the front. We're also going to be, of course, running up the front the airspeed, which is this one with the yellow cable, the pan servo, and also it's not in yet, but it's going to be mounted on top of the canopy. Like, whoops, like so. Is going to be the video transmitter, which I also have. Let me pop. Is that going to bounce there roughly? Yep. I have from Flytron my antenna. I preferred it when they had a bigger circuit board on because it was easy to mount. But I was going to be mounted on like a flexible bit of plastic tube, similar to how this is with the plastic tube there, so it doesn't get sort of knocked out as easy. That was nearly a disaster. Anyway, so yes, that's that, custom made to my frequency, looking beautiful. Looks a bit weird. It looks very gold and not bronze, but never mind. You know, for copper. But that's that. Better than the cheapo crapo Hobby Kingo. Yes, we have that. So that's going to go on here. I need to feed all the wiring to the front. Now, what I've been doing in this, sorry, to the back. What I've been doing in this back bit, it looks a bit messy for now because it's kind of not been put in at all, really. The only thing that I've done is got the hole out there for the, I can't remember what this is called, where they coil up the bottom bit, but it has been done. Now, you might think you've got these antennas the wrong way around, and I realise that I have done. We're going to see what they're like. So we've got the cheap crap one that comes with it coming out the top. I'm going to put a bit of that sort of blue tube through here so we can just push it on. And then the actual decent antenna you've got running sideways, which will also be blown back, which will be a problem. But we're just going to see. It'll be more than enough to get it flying around. The distance just won't be brilliant. So we've got the receiver, we've got the actual FI41, which is going to be ever so slightly off centre, but not a problem. Servos and Beck will go in the back. and the airspeed sensor. That's what AS is. And then all the other stuff is coming out the back here. So the cable that's in there is all the servo plugs to go to this. This cable is running from this power manager, which goes in where it says CS for current sensor. Wires are going into the front for the power. I'm going to run the power down this side and then all the other stuff down this channel here. Got a little 5 amp back here that's just going to go into S3 instead of the throttle, and the throttle will go directly into the receiver. That's how I like to do it. Your mileage may vary. We can also, because we've got so much lead on, we can push this speed controller back, which means it might get more air. And of course, at some point, so we can get them wired in, I'm going to have to glue on the V-tails. What I think I'm going to do today is focus more on getting the wires for the front sorted, and then we shall take it from there. Right, so some work has been done. So some of the stuff on the inside has been mounted. That's been mounted, and actually that's it. I've put some Velcro on the back of this, but that's it. I have routed the cables from the front. I'm trying to be neat, so I've installed some of these little sticky back tie wrap things. Put the tie wrap through, put them on. I'm having all the cables from the front run through here. So at the moment I've got the pan servo and the airspeed. So we've got airspeed going in there now, a little extension lead. We've got the pan running all the way along here and going to channel 8. I have the flight controller all the way plugged in here. So this uses every channel except 7 and 8, because it has 1, 2, 3, 4 for the control. Well, 1, 2 and 4 go to the flight controller, 3 go to the speed controller, which is plugged in. 4 goes to the flight controller, 5 and 6 go to the flight controller for the 2 different switches for the flight modes. So 7 and 8 are left. 8 has got the pan servo plugged directly into it, and 7, what I've done for now is, just so I don't have to get the receiver out, I've installed a little extension lead so you can plug stuff into there without having to dig this out again. Also, for the first time, I have mounted the wings to the fuselage. These bits I think I'm going to cut off because they're just a bit... I'm not going to cut that much off, but bit of a nightmare. Apologies. So what I was saying is, when I put the wings on, it turns out that this block is ever so slightly in the wing tube hole. What an idiotic mistake to make. Luckily, it's ever so slightly in, so while you sort of clunk past it, it's fairly solid still. I had to sort of get some of the glue out of both the wings with the tube a few times to get them to go in. But that is still solid, especially when the wing tube is in. It's a bit more loose when the wing tube is out, but when there's a wing tube like literally grating underneath it, that is quite strong. I mentioned about the cables here. So the only cables that I've got left to put in this track is the one for the video transmitter, which is going to be on top of the canopy, and the one for the camera in the front here. I'm going to solder the camera lead and the video transmitter lead up now, and then what I'm probably going to finish with is gluing on the V-tails. I think that needs doing now, and then we can leave that all to glue. Oh yeah, something I didn't show you is the fact that I've installed the GPS as well. It's not actually glued in, probably once these are in, put a bit of tape over it, but it's in. The lead is that one actually, and that should run even without the extension lead into the FY, which will be roughly there. So good news. Time for some soldering once I've taken this apart. Okay, so I've done some soldering. As you can see, this is off of those crap MG90s I had a while ago. I've just soldered it onto the plug for the Runcam Split 3, yellow to yellow, red to red, black to black. Now the problem that I had is I couldn't remember if on these video transmitters if it was white or yellow for signal. So what I've done is the connection that I cut off it off specifically a bit longer, but actually I didn't really need it because I can get to the pins. And then I've got a multimeter here just on the what I call the beep function. So if I put these both on the scalpel, you can hear it beeps because there's a connection. And all I did was put a red on here and a black on the yellow to see if that makes a connection, and it does. So yellow is video. That makes a lot of sense, but I wanted to make sure before I wondered why something didn't work. So I can get rid of this white cable. That's not needed. Which actually, now I think about it, I do have some models where the white cable is sort of taped up and not used. So if I'd have gone back in the memory, that would have helped. But now I'm going to remove the yellow cable, the white cable, sorry, and then yellow, black, and red is going to go yellow, black, and red on another one of these connections. So be back shortly. Okay, so I have been very busy with the Clear Gorrila Tape. So now on both the V-tails and the wings, Got Gorilla Tape over the cables and the servos. We've got Gorilla Tape on the top half of the hinge, and we've got Gorilla Tape on the leading edge. You can see that on there. Basically, Gorilla Tape is as close as you can get to laminating something without laminating something. So, what are we going to do next? Well, where I'm going to leave it for tonight is I have got some pins, and I have sanded the inside and sort of the inside of the fuselage and and these, and we're going to glue on the V-tail now. I'm not going to video me doing it just because I need both hands, and I have this on this so it doesn't flip over because of this silly tail at the bottom. It's a bit of a nightmare because I can't sort of have it on the bench and work on it. I'm not sure if I've said this or not, but I have soldered up the video transmitter cable and the camera cable. The camera cable's in the plane. Slightly concerned that I don't know where the canopy is. Oh, so here is the video transmitter. Velcro and tie-ups on, and what I've got here, these are I forget their name. What they're for is that you have like a blue tube, and then you have like a yellow tube on the inside. So the blue tube sort of gets glued into your plane, and the yellow tube is normally used to control things like throttles on like nitro planes and things like that. The reason I have it is you can put it in here. And compared to being on, say, a lollipop stick, it gives it a little bit of a sort of flex, because the yellow bit's flexible. The blue bit isn't as flexible, but this yellow bit is quite flexible, as you can see. So it means that you can sort of get knocked, it doesn't immediately get broken. The way I fix this on is a little bit of super glue to hold the yellow thing on, and the tie wraps around through the holes, and then more glue over the top of that. So that'll just go in there, get screwed on. That got soldered up. Nice long cable so it can sort of stay attached, but the canopy is off. I put the battery in. So yeah, that's that done. But as I say, what I'm going to do now is work on gluing in the tail. I'm probably going to use a brand new tube of Yoo-hoo port, unless there's one that's pretty much brand new. Can't remember if I've opened one of these or not. We'll have a look. That one's brand new. That one is brand new. So we've got this one that's about dead that I got a little bit out of to do the tail with, or to do that blue pipe with. I'm going to open a brand new one. Chuck the box away so I know which one is new and which one isn't. We'll throw it on the floor, one or the other. So yeah, brand new tube of the Yoo-hoo, not the pour, just regular Yoo-hoo. And I'm just going to put plenty of glue in on the inside, slap them in, and then use the pins, these sort of sewing pins, to hold it in place. So yes, I'm going to stop recording while I do that, and I'll see you all shortly when it is finished. Okay, so I was sort of in the process of packing it up for the night, and I've basically ended up building the plane by accident, other than the wings, but we've seen the wings on. This tail is still gluing, you can see all the pins in. But it's actually more or less done. I mean, the canopy is on, all the screws have gone in. This middle one needs a longer screw than the other two. That's something that I've learned. I put the little blue tube in here for one of the 433 antennas to come out. The other one's coming out of this side. Now, one of the main questions, of course, was how is this back of this canopy going to fettle, because it's not actually held in with anything. But, to be honest with you, I mean, if I pull that quite hard, that's as far as it's doing. So unless something drastic happens, like this canopy comes off with loads of air rushes in, I don't see that snapping or becoming a problem. We can keep an eye on it. Of course, if this band wasn't here, this piece would be even stronger. Possibly what we could do is install a piece of carbon fibre from front to back to make it so it can't even do this. That's a possibility that I've just thought of, which might be a good idea. I've got some 2mm carbon I could run on the underneath, just so I don't have this horrible line. Strengthen it up. The video transmitter's on, it's all hooked up, that's nice and tight. This just needs setting. Everything sort of build-wise is done, other than the propeller. Other than that, it's done. The rest of it's going to be all FI41 and putting it in the radio. Something that I have suddenly realised is that I have not done anything with the receiver, because it needs updating to the latest firmware and putting all the settings in for what I use and things like that. So what I'm going to do is...
I didn't catch that. Could you try again?
No, fuck off.
I won't respond to that.
Good. So I'm going to quickly undo all these screws, because I've done them down quite tight, and we'll just show you the inside. The inside of this back piece is not perfect, but it'll do for now. Okay, so this is the inside, and as you can tell, not the neatest in the world, but it is all here. So I've got a USB connection in there to update this receiver. This does not need anything connecting to it to configure it. Front half, as you can see, I've done what I wanted to do. I've suddenly remembered, need to put Velcro in for the battery. But we've got the power cables in there that you can just pull out, plug into the battery. None of this has been tested yet, so it may all set on fire when I plug it in. But we'll have to see how that gets on. We've got a nice long cable on here, so this can go way out of the way and still be connected. It's got the safety lock on. All of these have got safety locks on. Again, this is a bit of a mess. Some of that I've altered is, before I had a single strip of Velcro, I've adjusted it to have two, because before the flight control would rock, not a good idea. So I've put it on a more sort of sure thing. It does need ever so slightly lining up, and also you might notice that this arrow is facing the wrong way. That's not a problem, that's something you can sort out in the FI41. Another thing I've done is I've connected up the V-tails, but I'm not sure if they're the right way around or not, in 2 and 4. So I'll have to see how that gets on. That is the wire lead for the ailerons. We also have a connector down here. That connector that's missing is for the throttle to the FI41, because we're not using that. The speed controller goes directly into the receiver. Another one that we've got kicking around sort of doing nothing is this channel 7. It's always there if we want it, but otherwise not really used. So it's basically been built. So what have we got left to do on this? I'm going to write it all down, and then I'll give you a quick show of it. Okay, so you're going to stare. I'm not going to stare, that's actually quite messy, but you're going to stare at the desk while I talk to you through this, because why not? So the list that I've got is I need to put the prop on, obviously. Now I've got 2 8x6 props. I actually bought 4, 2 of each type. One that's a pusher, one that is a normal type, so it doesn't matter which way around I've installed the wires on the speed controller. I'm just going to be able to put whichever prop on that I need. We also have the Velcro in the front. I'm going to just Velcro basically the whole of the inside of the front. We have lots of super glue as well, so that we just put the battery wherever it needs to be. I'm also going to add another thing on here that I nearly forgot. Very important. I'm going to add them on separately as well. Okay, so it's Velcro. We've also got to do the receiver. We've got to get that updated to the latest firmware and get that bound to the radio. Next thing on there is the radio. I've got to make sure that's all set up, working the right way with a model, with all the voice stuff activated as well. I'm probably going to have to find a plane that has an FI41 it, copy and paste it, to be brutally honest with you. Because even if it's a flying wing, the FI41 is what does the mixing, so we can deal with that at a later date. We've also got the FI41 to set up, as I say, so direction of the FI41, the gyro amounts, max distance, the direction of the board, if I haven't said that already, that it's a V-tail, not a normal tail, and things like that. Got to start the camera, make sure that works okay, the wrong way up, and get the card in it and make sure it's recording fine. Make sure there's no on-screen display from the camera. All I want from the camera is a recording light flashing, and that's it. The 2 things that I've just added on, because I forgot about them and they're quite important, is the C of G. I need to make sure the C of G is about right. I don't even know really where the C of G should be. It's not marked, so we'll have to find that out. Probably directly on the wing tube. That's where it is on most planes. And then directions, I put on here like a secondary check for me, both gyro and sticks. So both what the FI41 does and the directions of the sticks with the radio. But that's about it. The physical build is done, as I say, other than Velcro and propellers. The rest of it's all sort of software based things. So very, very close. But yes, other than that, is this? That's not 100% gone off yet, so I'm going to leave that with the pins in still. But other than that, that is done. Thank you all very much for watching. I'm going to put all these canopies back on and screw them down. And other than that, that's it. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye. like and subscribe, and if you have any questions, comment, because I'm a helpful boy.